Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisXradio.
ChrisXradio. What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire intellect.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Chris X.
Is it bad that I'm already worn out before we got started? Is that a bad thing? Good afternoon and welcome to Chris X Radio. I'm the aforementioned X-Man, along with Gary. That's right, Gary, the hairy behemoth. We call him Gary the hairy ape. Made his escape from the city zoo. That was Ray Stevens. All right. Nonetheless, good afternoon. Glad to have you here on the program. We got a lot to get into today. I know you're going to be surprised by this. It is a manic Monday, as you might imagine. Pretty much aren't every Monday a manic Monday at this point? Isn't that the way it goes? Well, there's a lot going on, and we'll be talking about this. We're now just 1 week away from the second season of the Trumpocalypse. That's right. After a 4-year hiatus, many people were hoping for the second season 4 years ago, but something happened and they got put on hiatus. Well, now it's back for another season of the greatest show on earth, the Trumpocalypse. You can expect even more craziness this season than the first season. Heck, I don't know how they're going to top the previews with them trying to lock him up with all the lawfare. That's still going on. We'll talk about that. And then he got shot through the ear as they tried to kill him twice. And despite the fact that the media has blood coming out of their eyes, whatever, they are so glad to have another season to boost their failing ratings. Okay, they're failing badly. Speaking of, they sentenced Trump on Friday to nothing. So they went through, okay, so let me get this right. You guys told this guy's a threat, he's a felon, and he's just such a terrible, awful human being that you sentenced him to nothing. Thank God we're in the final week of the Biden hole. This is the worst political series I've ever seen. It's terrible. It's been awful from the beginning. None of the characters are believable. I mean, none of them are. And so that's going to be wrapping up come Monday. And then we can usher in the second season of the Trumpocalypse. Looking forward to that. We have fires still burning in California, but that's clearly Trump's fault. If you ask any high-ranking Democrat, they'll tell you, why did Trump cause all those fires? And so far, it looks like they've arrested a couple of people. One of them's an illegal. One's a homeless person. I mean, dear Lord. By the way, also here, the swamp Texas is not immune to the swamp, okay? We're not immune. There's some swampy activities going on up in Austin. Tomorrow, they'll be voting to elect a Texas House Speaker again. We'll see how it goes. I've got Dr. Tom Oliverson. He represents the 130th State House District in Northwest Harris County. He'll be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Stick around for that. They'll do the Texas House Speaker vote tomorrow between David Cook and Dustin Burrows. Now, David Cook is a representative that actually won the Republican caucus, and Dustin Burrows took off. They skated out of there. Well, wait, what? And he's been working. He's rounded up a small amount of support among Republicans, but he's got enough Democrats, supposedly, to get the votes to get the gavel. So he's working for the Democrat side, apparently. And he is going against his very own which seems to be a very common thing in politics, right? He's going against his own deal. Hey, you got to support the candidate that your Republican caucus votes for, except for when it's me and they don't vote for me. Then now you got to support me, and there were so many weird movements going on, and we'll talk with Dr. Oliverson coming up here at the bottom of the hour about that as we get rolling here. And once again, we'll see who can. Man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait. Like I said, since the new year, these last 20 days, getting into the next administration, we had one caller last week talked about it. It's crawling. It's been pretty bizarre, actually. So there's been a lot going on. You think it'd go fast, but that's just not how it works. Not with the Biden administration. They're dragging their way out of office. My God, are they ever? Anyway, okay, so, by the way, I got to have lunch with Rich Rosso from the Real Investment Show on Saturday. We went out to Goodson's in Tomball, which I've been to Goodson's a few times. If you've never been there, you probably ought to go check it out. They're known for I think they were voted best chicken fried steak. Was it Diners, Dives, and Drive-Ins or whatever that show was? They've got a very good chicken fried steak if you like it. I prefer the chicken fried chicken, because I like chicken better than chicken fried steak, but it's still good. Both are good. I've had both. It's also, it is Trump size. It is huge. Okay, huge. But I did not have the chicken fried steak or the chicken fried chicken. I had chicken fried chicken last time I was there, which was, I don't go there as often as I used to. I used to go there a little bit more regularly, but I haven't been there lately, but I think that was what I had last time. Anyway, this time, they've got good chicken and dumplings as well. It's good. I had that. Oh, it was so funny, too. Or you order a couple of sides or whatever. So I got the chicken and dumplings because it was a little cool outside. I was like, yeah, it's a good time for chicken and dumplings. So I had that, and then what did I get? I get the mac and cheese, which is good. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a fan of the old mac and cheese, which some places have really good mac and cheese. Okay, theirs is okay there. It's all right. The chicken and dumplings is awesome. And then the other one, it's a fruit. I was like, fruit bowl or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, what comes with that? And they're like, well, it's nothing fancy. It's like, what came out of the little fruit cups before. Remember was it the Del Monte or whatever? And she told me that. I was like, I want that. I want to try it. It was literally exactly that. It was hilarious. But it was funny. It was good. It tasted exactly the same way it did when I was a kid. And I used to love that stuff as a kid, the fruit and the little syrup stuff. So that was good. I didn't actually finish that. Just had a little bit, but everything else was fantastic. But it was good talking with Rich and hanging out. And I know he occasionally listens to the program, so always appreciate when he does that. And I know they do a great job with a Real Investment Show Monday through Friday here in the mornings, early in the morning, 6 to 7 a.m., leading you into the Salcedo storm. It rolls in every morning about 7 a.m. and goes till about 9. But talking with him, and Rich usually hosts it on Friday, but I know he can be found at other times on there as well on occasion. Once again, I want to thank him for lunch. That was great. Good conversation. You guys may not know this. Rich is a writer, too. He's an interesting guy. He's written movies. He's written screenplays. He's written books. He wrote, I don't know if this may be privileged information, so hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. He wrote parts of The Walking Dead back before it became The Woking Dead. Like in the first or second season, he had some of the parts. I won't go into details, but he wrote, I was like, that was back when I watched it. So that's very cool. So he does that. Rich is a smart guy, and he's politically smart too. So I don't think I need to go any further on that. But it's so funny because he and I talked about this. It was like, remember back in the old days, because he's from up north. He's from up New York way, man. And he was talking about how it was when he was a kid up there and how the Democrats are so different now than they were back then. Back then, we just had, we all loved the country and we had philosophical differences. Man, on today's Democrat Party, it's hard to tell if they hate our country, if they want to destroy it, if they want to burn it to the ground. We don't know which Democrats like our country or hate our country. It's hard to tell. I think John Fetterman likes our country. He went to Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. I'll get into that a little later in the program as well. Let's see, what else did I've got lined up. President-elect Trump's 13 cabinet nominees are set for confirmation hearings this week. We can get into that, name some of those. So we'll talk about that. It's going to be interesting now that we have a Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, who said he's making it a priority to get Trump's, candidates, his nominees, confirmed, which is great. That is so much better. It's so much better hearing Senate Minority Leader is now Schmuck Schumer, that dirtbag. Go to the back of the bus, Schmuck. That's what he needs to do. But not having Nancy in the House or leading, and then, of course, Schmuck. And it's a new world. By the way, don't you for one second think things are going to get slow as we go into the new Trumpocalypse. Okay? They're already ramping up. See you in California? I was listening to Guy Benson just a little while ago. Him talking, he played the audio. In California right now, while their cities are burning to the ground, they're meeting so they can determine how to spend money best to stop Donald Trump from doing anything in their state. Had they listened to the man, they would be better off. But no, that's what they're doing. Are they worried about the fires that have killed over 24 people now? Burned down thousands of structures. They're still not contained. What are these clowns doing over there? Oh, that's right. They're working on DEI. I almost forgot. Also, since we last met, Special Prosecutor Jack Smith has resigned before Trump takes office next week and gets fired. So he did that, which we were expecting. Everybody knew this was coming. We've also learned that the Judge Cannon, may allow, I guess, parts of this stuff to be, the case that he was working on, to be released publicly. Now, remember, Jack Smith had dropped the Department of Justice cases in November after Trump won the election. And apparently the special counsel completed his work, submitted his final confidential report on January 7th. Now, that is separated from the department on January 10th, the note said. Now, he was appointed by Merrick Garland, part of the lawfare they're lying about, claiming they haven't been doing against Trump. So we got that. President-elect Trump also, as I mentioned, he met with Senator John Fetterman and Fetterman's wife over the weekend at Mar-a-Lago. He had him come down and meet, and then he said he complimented him. And as you know, Fetterman is a Democrat from Pennsylvania, as an impressive and common-sense person following their meeting. And Trump responded just like he always did. According to the Washington Examiner, he spoke very highly of Fetterman and his wife, Giselle. It was a totally fascinating meeting. He's a fascinating man, and his wife is lovely. They were both up, and I couldn't be more impressed. He's a common-sense person. He's not a liberal or a conservative. He's just a common-sense person, which is beautiful, okay? Very Trump. But it also shows that John Fetterman is a whole lot smarter than people think he is. He's already met with some of the nominees. And, Fetterman is getting ready for the next administration. So we'll get into that as well. Oh, by the way, in case you were... This shouldn't shock anyone. The Washington Post is dying. It has lost 90% of its daily users. That's right, the Washington Compost, as they call it. It's well-deserved because the rag is nothing more than an ultra-biased left-wing propaganda outlet that has proved itself to be unreliable, wrong, and pushing this ideology that propagates nothing more than total failure, okay? It's a total disaster. According to Semaphore.com, the Washington Post has lost almost all of its traffic. From 2021, it's lost 90% of its daily users. Wow. And for those of you who don't know, somebody who's been there, Jennifer Rubin, a pathetic excuse for a reporter, has left the Washington Compost to become the editor-in-chief of this new startup called The Contrarian. It already has a slogan, not owned by anybody. And she'll be partnering up with the former Obama White House ethics czar and CNN contributor Norm Eisen. You know who that guy is? Yeah. For those who don't remember, Rubin was initially hired by the Compost 14 years ago as a quote-unquote Republican columnist and proved to be exactly the kind of Republican, quote-unquote, columnist you'd expect from a propaganda outlet like the Washington Compost, okay? Besides the fact she's a fascist, she's primarily known for her frequent neurotic breakdowns, her opposition to democracy, and getting brutally taken down by Bill O'Reilly on Fox News when she didn't come prepared for an interview and then attacked him. And he said, all right, bring some receipts. She had none and just tried to change the subject, and he destroyed her. So there you go. All right, let's go ahead and take a break as we're just getting rolling. We'll come back and dig into a little bit of this, and then don't forget, we've got Dr. Tom Oliverson representing the Texas 130th State House District over here in Northwest Harris County. By the way, it's where I'm located, so he's my rep. I know it's going to shock you, but I voted for him. How many representatives do we have in the Texas House? I wish all of them were just like Tom Oliverson. If they were, we'd have better government. I can tell you that. Anyway, we'll pick up with him at the bottom of the hour. Don't you go anywhere. You're listening to Chris X Radio. We're just getting rolling. We'll dig into a little bit, and then we'll talk with Dr. Oliverson in the next segment after that. So don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Chris X Radio on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Hi, y'all. It's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. You know, with all the scary stuff we've been through, it's still true that timing is everything, and the time to buy is now. But don't go looking without a solid pre-approval in hand. And this includes an application and a detailed discussion about property taxes. If you didn't have the talk, about property taxes, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. Mortgages are personal. Let's face it, we're dealing with your home and your money, and it doesn't get much more personal than that. When it's the largest transaction that most people will ever be involved in, imagine having someone on your side looking out after you. What a concept. We audit your closing statement to make sure you're not paying for things that you're not supposed to. Do you think your big bank's going to do that? Probably not. For all of your mortgage needs, call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate in O'Hara Homes. I'm going to drop some truth bombs that I believe. We're in a global war against evil. Donald Trump is a wartime president. COVID-19 was not the bioweapon the jab was. A surgical mask will not prevent you from getting a virus. The 2020 election was rigged. If you're watching mainstream media, you're being lied to. The elites of this world have been running the largest human trafficking and pedophile ring. The Ukraine is a deep state stronghold. God is real and created two genders, male and female, and Jesus died for our sins. If you're not awake yet, you better wake up. If you want a real estate company that'll give you the truth, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393 or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. If you're looking for a contractor, call O'Hara Homes at the same number, 281-373-3393. God wins this war. Nothing can stop what is coming. Where we go one, we go all. God bless America and God bless Texas.
Let's be honest. No one ever thinks about their garage until it stops working. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage is noisy or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repairs. Recommended all over Houston, Garage Door Doctor is your trusted partner for all your garage door needs. Let the experts at Garage Door Doctor tune up your garage door and keep it running for a lifetime. Schedule an appointment today at garagedoordoctor.biz or call today.
And checking traffic for you. Got a couple of accidents on 45. One on the North Freeway, outbound just before Cypress Wood. This one's blocking off a couple of right lanes. And traffic right now backed up to about Airtex, and it is building at that location. The other side of 45, the Gulf Freeway on the inbound side of Scarsdale. Watch for an accident there. Heavy-duty truck involved, blocking two left lanes. Look at your traffic on the AM 700 KSEV.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program presented by Miller Pools and Texan Pools, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And what we do here on the Backyard Bay radio program is talk about your backyard. And this time of year, wow, it's so hard not to just spend all your time out in the Backyard Bay. And I know sometimes you have questions. That's why we do the Backyard Bay radio program, to get you good, solid answers to any kind of questions that you may have concerning your swimming pools, or I'm looking to build a new swimming pool. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, The Voice.
Fake news hates us. Fake news hates us. Chris X Radio. Chris X Radio.
Welcome back to Chris X Radio. I'm the aforementioned X-Man, along with Gary Bohemoth. He's large and in charge and flying the mothership. We've got this segment, and then we're going to catch up with Dr. Tom Oliverson. He represents the 130th State House District in Northwest Harris County. The Texas House Speaker vote is tomorrow between David Cook and Dustin Burrows. Now, from what I was reading earlier today, if a speaker isn't decided tomorrow, then the 89th legislature will be delayed. So we'll talk to Dr. Oliverson about that and kind of what he thinks, or what he's seeing, I guess, leading up. It's been a pretty contested battle between Cook and Burrows. Cook, of course, was the one that was elected by the I had Dr. Oliverson when it happened, and he was elected by the House, the Republicans in the House. Well, didn't have enough to get the amount they needed to win speakership, but he was elected by the caucus, or supported by the caucus. And then now Burrows apparently has been trying to reach across the aisle and pull a bunch of Democrats over to get him across the threshold. So we'll talk with Dr. Oliverson about that coming up here in just a couple of minutes, so don't go anywhere. And as I mentioned, like I said, it's not only happening, the swampy stuff on the national level, it's happening on the local level, as we are only 1 week away now from the second season of the Trumpocalypse. Now, the first season of the Trumpocalypse was must-see TV. The Democrats and their propaganda allies spent every day on television telling you how terrible everything was and how awful it was. By every measurable lever, it was better. Well, what are they going to do this time? I don't know. After a 4-year hiatus, it's the Trumpocalypse Part 2. We can call it Trumpocalypto. I don't know. Let's say shout out to our long-lost Drews, man. Oh, God, he was funny. But nonetheless, it's back for another season of the greatest show on earth. Expect even more craziness coming up in this second season. I mean, the previews alone are insane. They've been trying to lock the man up for how long now? With lawfare. Then he got shot through the ear as they tried to kill him twice. Now, despite the fact that the media has blood coming out of their eyes, their ears, their whatever, they're so glad to have another season to come in and boost their failing ratings, okay? There you go. So we shall see. Oh, by the way, they sentenced Trump. Judge Merchan did on Friday. They sentenced him to nothing. So what's this all about again? Can you say lawfare? Did they sentence him to lawfare? Is that what it was? Like, listen, I know we went after you. We said you committed all of these felonies. We've convicted you now, and you are sentenced to nothing. No time, no fine, no nothing. Just sentenced to nothing. Because you're going to be president. We can't do anything. This is why you weren't supposed to go down that road in the first place. But it wasn't about the crime, because there was no crime. It wasn't about the punishment, the conviction. They want to just hang that over his head, be a convicted felon. It's going to get overturned by the Supreme Court. What they wanted, the process, is the penalty. That's what this is about. That and to be able to stain them. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We'll catch up with Dr. Oliverson once again from the 130th Texas House District in Northwest Harris County. He represents here in the great state of Texas. Dr. Tom Oliverson. We're going to talk about this the race going on here for House Speaker. Has there been any shift? So far, it's been two immovable forces going at each other. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out tomorrow. And if it doesn't get done, if we don't get a speaker, looks like things will be delayed. Tom Oliverson joins us here next on ChrisX Radio. Don't you go anywhere.
ChrisX Radio. Texas born, Texas raised. The voice of Texas.
Have you been listening to Steve Davis here on the Total Wealth Academy radio show? You probably should. He talks about how to generate wealth and passive income. He's been doing it along with the gang at Total Wealth Academy. They've been teaching people how to use real estate to generate wealth, secondary streams of income. They've been doing it for over 50 years now combined. So maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you got a lot of real estate experience. Total Wealth Academy can take you from where you're at today and help you start realizing rates of return that are practically unheard of in just about any other investment. Check out TotalWealthAcademy.com to get more information or to sign up for one of their free sample classes. If I'm not mistaken, they have a big event coming up tomorrow night. I know they have their member spotlight nights. They've got their online classes. Well, whatever you want to know, you can find out over at TotalWealthAcademy.com. They can tell you about what's coming up tomorrow, what's coming up later this week, their online classes, their in-person classes. Big event taking place tomorrow night. Now, I've known Steve Davis for almost 20 years now. I've watched him teach thousands of people on how to invest in real estate, and many of them went from having no real estate, none, to retirement by using those investing principles they teach at Total Wealth Academy. In my opinion, he's the best real estate consultant in the country. He's right here in Houston, and he can be yours. Check out the website, TotalWealthAcademy.com, to get more information. And don't forget to listen to Steve Davis on the Total Wealth Academy radio show. It airs Monday through Saturday right here at noon on the Voice of Texas. That's TotalWealthAcademy.com. And make sure you tell them that Chris X sent you.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau. That's because the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better check that business out first so you don't get ripped off bureau. Be smart. Always look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
The Chang Agency reminding you to drive safe this year. This message is proudly sponsored by Debbie Chang and the Chang Agency, powered by Allstate. Owned and operated by Debbie Chang since 2015. Whether it's auto, home, renters, flood, and more, they'll find an insurance plan to fit your budget. For a quote, call 713-830-8979 or stop by 7001 Corporate Drive in Houston. The Chang Agency reminding us to never drink and drive.
This is Jack Gonzalez, and if you're looking for great home health or hospice care for you or a loved one, then join me in Phoenix Cannaball for the Avatar Home Health and Hospice Show this and every Sunday at 12 noon here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Hi folks, Dan Patrick here. Beautiful and healthy trees increase your property value, but sick, ugly trees will decrease the value of your home. That's why I recommend you call Ability Tree Experts at 281-441-4179. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace. That's why you need to call my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts. I've known them for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. Well-fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs. So don't wait to protect your investment. Call Louis Flory now at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, receive a deep root feeding with every tree pruned. That's Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
And now, back to Chris X Radio. Chris X Radio on the voice of Texas.
Welcome back to Chris X Radio. It is time to catch up with our guest. Dr. Tom Oliverson joins us now. He represents the Texas 130th State House District up here in Northwest Harris County. He always represents us very well over there in Austin Way and at the capital of the state. So it's always good to catch up with him and get a breakdown. We were talking a little bit about the Texas House Speaker vote coming up tomorrow. Now, the last time we talked with Dr. Oliverson, he was breaking down what all went on and what happened because there was a ton of misinformation. And he cleared it up pretty well, and nobody seems to be disputing it since then. Well, now we got the big vote coming up tomorrow between David Cook and Dustin Burrows. Dr. Oliverson, thanks for joining us. Always good to catch up with you.
Hey, so good to be with you, Chris. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, kind of getting geared up for a whole lot of, we've got the second season of the Trumpocalypse starting on Monday of next week, but we got the big House Speaker race tomorrow, and I can imagine you've already been very busy, and you'll be very busy this week.
I will, and I have, and I want to say, first of all, how grateful we are to all of the folks from Harris County who are going to be making their way up to the Capitol tomorrow to see what promises to be a very historic speaker election. Chris, we have not actually had a truly contested floor vote for speaker since 1975 was the last time there was actually a floor fight for who's going to win the speakership. And that is actually what is on tap for tomorrow. Neither candidate is backing down. We have a candidate who won the Republican caucus, David Cook from Mansfield. He has darn near a two-thirds supermajority of House Republicans backing him and a handful of Democrat members. And on the other side, we have the exact inverse. We have a representative from Lubbock, Texas, Dustin Burrows, who is supported by less than a third of the Republican caucus and a whole lot of Democrats. And that is basically our choices. And then there's a third candidate who is actually a very, very progressive Democrat from Dallas, Ana Maria Ramos, who's running basically to just say, hey, you know what? We don't want any Republican leadership. Let's just have a Democrat. So that's what's on tap for tomorrow. So if you if you're not busy, you can tune in online, but it's definitely epic and worth watching, I think.
First of all, I think you're right. It's amazing it's been that long since we've had a contested vote like this. And this is one of the most interesting races I've seen, especially after what went down. Was it December or November when the first vote went down? And you're right, neither one of them got the prerequisite amount of votes to be the speaker. But as you broke it down very clearly on this program, the Republican caucus clearly supported David Cook, and then Dustin Burrows and his gang of whatever kind of slipped out the door and decided not to come back. And then since then, they've been fighting very hard they want to do it. But as you mentioned, a vast majority of Republicans clearly want David Cook. But then you've got a handful of Republicans with a bunch of Democrats who want Dustin Burrows. Having this third candidate who's clearly I guess one on the left side, clearly, do you think this will affect any of the voting between the other two candidates, or is it just simply another, I guess, curveball thrown in the mix?
Sure. Well, so I think it. I think she is a candidate for the for the more progressive Democrats. They have been encouraging her to stay in the race and to be part of that process. And I think nobody expects her to actually win and become the speaker. But for them, I think it would be a sort of akin to having like an AOC type candidate running for U.S. Speaker. Probably not going to win, but they want to have somebody that they feel like they can say no to Republicans generally as sort of a principled vote. I think what will happen is the first ballot will be taken, and you have a three-way race, and so one of the candidates will drop out. I think we all expect that will be Ana Maria Ramos. Will end up getting the lowest vote numbers, but of course nothing's set in stone. And then it'll be a face-off between the two Republican candidates, David Cook and Dustin Burrows. And we'll see who gets to 76. Now, the rules are written. They're not always written this way, but we have worked very hard in the House in this process, getting ready for this, to make sure, because this is so contested, it is a person can only win, according to the resolution that we will adopt. A person can only win and be named speaker if they get 76 votes, which is 50% plus one of the entire House. Because it is contested as it is, everybody, no matter what side you're on in this deal, everybody wants the next speaker to be somebody that got a majority of the House members to say, I'm with that person. And so that's really important.
We're talking with Dr. Tom Oliverson. Once again, he represents Texas' 130th State House District here in Northwest Harris County. Now, I think everybody is in tune with that. We want a majority, I guess, leader, if you will, who gets a majority of the votes to be the Speaker of the House. I know this is something I don't remember if you said it outright, but I think everybody has a pretty good idea. It looks, I'm sure you're supporting David Cook along with Lieutenant Governor. Now, he doesn't get to vote, neither does the governor, but it looks like most Republicans are supporting David Cook, whereas Dustin Burrows, if I remember correctly, wasn't there a time in the not so long ago, past where he was one of the guys that said, hey, listen, whoever gets the Republican caucus vote should be the Speaker, but he doesn't seem to be, when it comes to him, he doesn't seem to really feel the same way anymore.
Right. I mean, I think you said it correctly, Chris, and I think, for the listeners, I think it's important to understand that, Dustin Burrows is essentially carrying on, and he's been very clear about this, that he is a status quo speaker. He intends to maintain the traditions of the House. He is essentially, even though Dade Phelan has bowed out of the race now, Dustin is essentially the Dade Phelan 2.0 candidate, right? And people may or may not like that terminology, but the reality is his leadership team and the people that are with him, these are all of Dade's Cardinals, all of Dade's leadership team. So it's really a choice between, does the House need a new direction in terms of leadership? Do we want to get free from the past and go on to something new, or are we just going to do business as usual? Because that's really what the vote tomorrow is about. And it's not about policy, it's about power. It's about the people who currently have power not wanting to share it. And it's about the people who traditionally have not had the power, who see an opportunity to remake the House in a more distributed power fashion where each individual member has more power and the Speaker has less. And they're taking this opportunity to make sure that the next Speaker is somebody with a different vision when it comes to how colleagues are treated and how power and opportunity is distributed amongst the members.
Dr. Oliverson, I've seen many Republicans over the years. A lot of people don't study local politics in their own area, but also they don't study what goes on here in Texas at the Capitol, which is very important. It's why I'm so glad we have somebody like you that represents the 130th state House district very, very well. But that being said, they don't pay attention, so they don't understand that the Democrats in Texas have had a lot of power, even though they're in the minority. They've still been, as you mentioned, the status quo. They get appointed to committees and such. Well, this is and unfortunately, it frustrates the heck out of many Republicans who think, hey, we've got the majority here. What are we doing, allowing the minority to hold up the vote on many items that the governor wanted, and we've seen this over and over again. And this is that opportunity, as you mentioned, to maybe do things a little differently. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what are you seeing in the tea leaves, if anything at all?
I see in the tea leaves that David Cook prevails in the second or third ballot is what I believe will happen. I think, there are people that are playing this very close to the vest. The people who are sort of uncommitted at this point in both parties are just getting pounded on by all sides. I know there are reps in various parts of the state, Republicans and Democrats, where there are trade associations, for crying out loud, that are calling them and saying, you have to vote for this person or that person or whatnot. So, there's a lot of voices hitting on these folks. But David has the momentum, and David is the candidate for change. I know in Harris County, he is overwhelmingly supported by the Republican state reps. There's only one that has said that she would vote for Dustin. Everybody else has pledged to support David because he is the caucus nominee. And so I think he will prevail at the end of the day. But it is true that the Democrats actually have a lot of power in deciding who's going to be the next speaker because, quite frankly, the Republicans remain divided. The majority of us are supporting David, and we're following the caucus process, and we're respecting our party's platform, and some are not. Some just, quite frankly, Chris, don't believe that the Republican electorate cares about Democrat chairs, and they don't believe that the Republican electorate cares about who the next speaker is. They believe that the voters will forget, and they'll give them a pass, and come next primary season, it'll be no harm, no foul, and nobody will remember how they voted.
But, it's interesting because we just, coming off the heels of that crazy impeachment of the Attorney General of the state of Texas, which clearly had substantial political repercussions. And then we see and of course now we see where Ken Paxton, he of course is supporting David Cook. And I think there's a couple of things I want to mention here. One is I do believe we're on a different footing than we were back when the vote first went down last year now. So there's that, but also something, I guess, maybe a positive of an unintended consequence, as you just mentioned, is now you've got all of these people calling their reps or calling the various reps are actually paying attention because of this hotly contested race that normally weren't really paying attention at all. So maybe that could be a good, unintended consequence, barring depends on how things, play out. But I think you're right. From what I've seen, and of course, I've seen a lot of social media and stuff, over on Twitter, X, and that kind of stuff. I think you're right. David Cook has the momentum, it looks like. But Dustin Burrows, as you mentioned, has not backed down. It's funny, now that you've explained it, too, it sure seems like, with Dade Phelan resigning, bowing out basically, instead of going through and losing a vote, it sure looks like he got with Dustin or someone and they made a deal. And it's, as you were kind of alluding to, it's a numbers game at this point. Whoever can get those numbers is going to be the next speaker. And by the way, and on top of that, as you respond, if we don't get a speaker tomorrow, then that means the 89th legislature will be delayed. Is that correct?
Oh, that's very true. That's very true. Now, honestly, Chris, the House has certain constitutional requirements in terms of getting off to a bit of a slower start than the Senate anyway. So I don't know that it sinks our ship or prevents us from passing any of our priorities or anything like that. But yes, I definitely think that is a possibility, an outside possibility, but a possibility nonetheless that we could walk off the floor tomorrow and not know who the speaker is. And if I can say one other thing, I think, one of the big differences here in what's at stake, and people always want to know, well, why should I care what's at stake? Okay, well, I don't like Democrat chairs. That makes sense to me. But I hope everybody understands that one of the other key differences between the two candidates and, quite frankly, the entire leadership team around each of the two candidates is that David's camp really wants to have a better relationship with the grassroots and with the party and with the electorate. They really want to be seen as people who are listening to what the voters are saying and acting upon their wishes and going to convention and being respectful and having dialogue and involving the SREC and involving our state party chair and making sure that Republican lawmakers are working with the Republican electorate to do the things that we were elected to do. The other side strongly feels that those people don't matter and that they are not really the electorate and that the electorate doesn't care about any of these things and that you don't need to go to convention and you don't need to talk to the party and you don't need to engage with the grassroots. And who cares about those people? And really clearly, that is one of the biggest differences between the two. I saw this firsthand when I first announced to run for speaker back in March. That was really a big part of it. And David has carried this forward, and it's become kind of a big thing for our group is we want to repair the relationship with the Attorney General. We want to have the reset with the grassroots. We want to prove as a group that the Texas House is a group that the grassroots and the party can be just as proud of as the Texas Senate. And the other side just doesn't care. They're just not interested. They don't think those people are, quote, relevant. They just want to be left alone to do what they want to do. and just trust them to make the right decisions and don't bother them.
You know, it's interesting because in many ways it mirrors the federal level. We see one party, as obviously the party that you belong to, that really believes in getting a consensus and also believes in a difference of opinion. But generally we're on the same side and we want the best, for our state or our country. And I think we see that a lot. And then there's the other side that in many ways just, I guess, in order to maintain power, they tend to be a monolith and everybody needs to just get on board. And you're right. Yeah. Everything else tends to get thrown out. And that puts, those who are more principled like yourself at an inherent disadvantage. Now, fortunately, you're one of the smartest guys I've ever met, so it doesn't I think you can, as Rush used to say, I think you can take them on with half your brain tied behind your back. So you've done very well with that, and I'm glad. Well, no, it's true. So I guess not everybody can go be a doctor, but also be so principled and conservative, and of course, also, I was saying earlier in the program that I wish we had all of the representatives had your tenure, and had your, of course, your meter when it comes to dealing with this stuff, because you're so level-headed and you, like I said, you deal with it almost like a doctor, and you don't let many things bother you. In fact, that's kind of amazing. And in today's environment, it's also sort of a luxury. You don't see it very often. So, all right. Well, I hope you'll be able to keep us posted. I'm sure we'll all hear as soon as things kind of break down the way they go tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have a speaker. If not, I agree with what you said. Relatively soon there will be one. I'm hoping that David Cook comes out victorious, is able to get the numbers, and everybody coalesces around him tomorrow, and then we can like I said, get more people involved and get exactly where you are. And I think that will be better for not only us as Republicans, but for the entire state. What say you?
I think that's exactly what our team is pushing for, Chris. We want to prove to the people of this state and your listeners and our party that we as the House can be more responsive, can be better representatives. We can get along better with the governor, lieutenant governor, and the attorney general, and that, give us an opportunity to press the reset button, and we can prove to you that we can do a good job. And that's what we're looking for.
Like I said, well, I think we're well on the way, and we shall see how it all plays out, I guess, tomorrow or later this week, and see what happens. Dr. Oliverson, always great to catch up with you, and thanks so much for coming on, even on short notice, and keeping us posted. And I look forward to talking to you here. I guess next time we'll have a new speaker, and hopefully it's the right one.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Dr. Tom Oliverson, once again, representing the 130th State House District in Northwest Harris County. He's already been very busy for a while, and I appreciate him making time for us, and we'll see how it plays out. As he mentioned, you can go look on it. If you really want, you can go watch the battle tomorrow as it takes place online. I know I'll be glancing at it throughout the day as I'm preparing for my show, but I always appreciate Dr. Oliverson's time and, of course, what he does. I'm serious. I wish we had more guys like him up there in Austin. Well, it doesn't mean we don't have a lot of good ones. But, man, like I said, with the patience he has, he's so even-keeled. You never see him raise his voice. Well, we need more of that in politics instead of, bomb throwers, at least in my opinion. All right, let's take a break. Appreciate Dr. Oliverson for joining us. We'll open up the phones, 281-558-KSEV. If you want to join us, 281-558-5738. I'm Chris X. We'll be right back to wrap up this first hour and get you locked and loaded for hour number 2.
ChrisXradio.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. 800-951-6756. 800-951-6756. That's 800-951-6756. Paid for by Airtime Media.
Let's be honest, no one ever thinks about their garage until it stops working. The problem is, worn out springs, cables, and rollers can break before they give any sign of trouble. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repairs. Recommended all over Houston, Garage Door Doctor is your trusted partner for all your garage door needs. Every time your garage door opens and closes, there is wear and tear taking place. If not properly serviced each year, a simple fix could turn into a costly repair. Let the experts at Garage Door Doctor tune up your garage door and keep it running for a lifetime. The Garage Door Doctor motto, honest, quality work at a fair price, isn't just words. It's the Garage Door Doctor promise. Because when you're with Garage Door Doctor, you're family. We never employ subcontractors to do our work. Our staff, including our own family members, will treat your garage as their own. Schedule an appointment today at garagedoordoctor.biz or call today.
Okay, let's have a little fun. Do you use the expensive blue pill to perform better? Are you thinking about it? So what if we can promise you results for less than $1 a pill? Okay, so these same pills can cost you $30 or more at a pharmacy. And our Better Blue Pill works for less than $1 a pill. You'll save $29 or more per pill. And right now, we'll give you 120 blue pills for just $99. Have a little fun and call right now. Get 120 of our Better Blue Pills for just $99. Don't overpay for the other blue pills. Call Steel Man Pills right now and get the Better Blue Pill for less than $1 a pill. Call 1-800-BUY-BLUE, 1-800-BUY-BLUE. It's easy to remember. 1-800-BUY-BLUE. That's 1-800-BUY-BLUE. And thanks for calling.
The voice of Texas. The voice of reason. ChrisXradio. ChrisXradio.
Is it legal for me to air drum this intro in as we're coming in? Is that legal? You're watching me on the secret cam. Air drum in. See me spin the drumsticks right there? Man, I look like Tommy Lee. Welcome back to ChrisXradio. We've reached the final segment. I see Sammy's upset. He's like screaming about it. Now we reached the final segment of the first hour. Sammy, don't go anywhere. Don't cry, Sammy, okay? Don't cry. You cried a lot, okay? I wouldn't cry. Now, we're reaching the final segment of the first hour, but don't cry. Hour number 2 is locked and loaded, so we'll be going to do that here in just about a minute or so. So stick around. I want to thank Dr. Tom Oliverson, once again, representing the 130th State House District. What's funny is he's my rep over here on this side, and, man, I always say I wish we had more like him. I'm lucky I get to vote for him because not all of them are as even-keeled. He's a super nice gentleman. He's just very smart, and just if so many more people who's serving the people. He is truly, a people's servant. That's what he does. Whether he's serving as a doctor or what he does of the House. Man, if we had more people like that, we'd have better leadership. And we've got some pretty good leadership in Texas. We just, unfortunately, the House can get a little squirrely on occasion. We'll just say that. Well, hopefully the step tomorrow getting the vote between David Cook and Dustin Burrows. There's also Ana Maria Ramos, who's the lefty. I don't think any of you are interested in that. But if you want, call your representative. Tell them to vote for David Cook. He's the Republican caucus nominee. He's the one they want. Let's get him. All right, hour number 2 is up next. Don't you go anywhere.